Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. And today we're going to talk about the different Bhukti periods within the Jupiter Mahadasha. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So just a quick disclaimer before we jump into these Bhukti periods of the Jupiter Mahadasha. This, of course, is going to vary depending upon how Jupiter is placed within your chart. So you want to pay attention to, is Jupiter in one of your main Kendra houses, 1, 4, 7, and 10, or is it in a Trikona house in the 5th house or in the 9th house? This is going to give you the best results in these particular houses. You also want to pay attention to what is the dignity of Jupiter. So is it in one of its home signs of Pisces or Sagittarius? Is it exalted in Cancer? Is it debilitated in Capricorn? All of this is going to factor in, along with, are there any planetary conjunctions or aspects over to Jupiter? And are those connections positive or negative? Along with this, you want to check to see if Jupiter is a functional malefic or benefic within your natal chart. So this can vary depending upon how Jupiter is situated in your chart. For the most part, though, Jupiter tends to give positive results when going through the Mahadasha. Jupiter is all about expansion. It is all about wisdom, philosophy, education, religion, travel, foreign culture. So Jupiter is expanding when we come into this Jupiter-ruled Mahadasha. And depending upon if Jupiter is placed positively or negatively will depend on how Jupiter will expand in your life. On the negative side, it can give you overconfidence, over-optimism, where you are expanding too much in life. But on the positive side, it can bring you many opportunities and situations that can open up doorways within your life. So starting off with the Jupiter Bhuktis, the first period is going to be Jupiter-Jupiter. And this is a very pivotal moment within this Jupiter Mahadasha, because this is the very first of the Bhukti periods. And so you are coming straight out of a Rahu Mahadasha entering into this Jupiter Mahadasha. And so there is a major transition that's happening because Rahu is all about illusion. And so Jupiter being about this higher wisdom and philosophy, this is almost like coming out of a dark tunnel into the light. And so for many of you coming into this first part of this Jupiter-Jupiter, especially within the first year of the Jupiter-Jupiter, is actually a bit of a challenging time in your life because this is blinding. This is like being in the darkness and coming straight into the light. And so that first part of the Jupiter-Jupiter can still have some illusion, can still have some difficulties, can still have some situations where you're overexpanding, where you are getting into tricky situations, confusion, restlessness, all of these characteristics that were associated with the Rahu Mahadasha. However, as time passes, with this Jupiter-Jupiter period, this is a great time where there are many opportunities coming in, where there are opportunities to grow, to expand within business, within family, within all spheres of life. Jupiter is here to open up these new doorways and opportunities to you. So as you move through this Jupiter-Jupiter period, this is going to give you a tremendous amount of optimism, courage, charisma. This is you looking forward to the changes that are coming within your life. And again, depending upon how Jupiter is positioned in your chart, will depend upon if you are overconfident, over-expansive, over-optimistic, or if this is favoring you within your life. The Jupiter-Jupiter period can also be a time where this is opening you up to your spiritual journey. So this is excellent for any kind of religious or spiritual practices. This can also take you traveling. A lot of the time it will take you traveling to foreign places because again, Jupiter is related to long distance, to foreign connections. Jupiter also represents the husband, and we're going to talk about throughout this Jupiter Bhukti periods that this becomes a time about union, about togetherness. Jupiter is a social planet. So this is also a time where it can open up opportunities for marriage, for commitment, for relationships, for new friendships, new network circles coming in. This is a very social time when you come into the Jupiter Mahadasha. Following this is another 2-year period of Jupiter-Saturn, and the energy begins to change as you come into this period because Jupiter and Saturn are very different from one another. And Saturn is very stabilizing, where Jupiter is expansive. So this is actually a great time of expanding your life. Saturn helps to stabilize this energy. And so this can be a time of solidifying many changes and decisions within your life, where this is giving you a ton of opportunities. In particular, Saturn is a karaka for career. It is all about work, responsibility. So you can get a promotion, you can get some success, some opportunities in your area of career where you are starting to expand business-wise, starting to come up with new ideas, new solutions within your business that can help you to grow. This is able to give you the sound judgment with Saturn coming in here to make the correct decisions to move forward within your career. So after Jupiter-Saturn is another 2-year period of Jupiter-Mercury. And this is an interesting time because Jupiter and Mercury are very different from one another. So Mercury is a very fast-paced planet where everything is changing, where there's all of these new opportunities happening. And Jupiter is just going to expand this. So this is definitely a time where there are going to be many changes, where there's a lot of restlessness. You're constantly moving, constantly connecting with people, constantly on the go during this time. This can definitely be a huge time of travel. This also can be great for education because both Jupiter and Mercury are related to education as well, where Jupiter is about higher wisdom, philosophy, Mercury is about your practical skills and everyday skills and talents that you are gaining to help you within the mundane life. So you put these two energies together that are directly related to education. So if these are placed well within your chart, this can help you to succeed in your education as well. This is excellent for any kind of mentors, teachers, gurus, which is all represented by Jupiter, but with Mercury in here, giving you some great practical wisdom and advice that can help you within your everyday life. This is an excellent time for career opportunities as well. Mercury is related to career, and specifically Mercury is about putting those practical skills into use. So especially when it comes to self-employment, when it comes to creating your own business, when it comes to implementing those ideas that you have come up with within the Jupiter-Saturn, this is an excellent time for this. Mercury is a planet of communication and Jupiter is social. So this is definitely going to open you up to different walks of life, people coming in, making new connections, your network circle increasing. This is an excellent time of connecting with people. The difficulty here is that if these are negatively placed in your chart, you can get some bad advice. You can get some deception coming in. There can be confusion around making decisions. So you want to be careful depending upon how Mercury and Jupiter are placed within your chart. Following this is an 11-month period of Jupiter-Ketu. So in this Bhukti period, this is very special because Jupiter and Ketu together form the Ganesha Yoga, which is all about our spiritual growth and development. So when you come into this Jupiter-Ketu period, this also becomes about your spiritual development as well. Ketu is going to take you inward, and Jupiter is all about the higher philosophy, religion, spirituality. And so this is definitely a hermit mode when you come into this Jupiter-Ketu, where this is all about your spiritual development. Any kind of meditation, mystical practices, spiritual studies, scriptures, all of this is supported through Jupiter-Ketu. On a material sense, though, this can be a very challenging time because Ketu is disconnected from the physical. It is all about detachment and letting go. And so this can be a time where if you're making some huge decisions about finances, about your material life, there can be some mishaps, there can be losses, disappointments happening at this time. So this is definitely a time of going more inward, going into deep introspection, moving inward towards your spirituality. It's not about making these huge decisions around the material world. K2 can create confusion in that area. Following this is a 2-year period of Jupiter-Venus. And this is very special. So going back to what I said in the beginning about Jupiter relating to marriage, Venus also relates to marriage as well. So these are both social planets that are about connection, that are about bringing people together. And in particular, Jupiter represents the husband and Venus represents the wife. So this can definitely be a time of long-term commitments, business-wise, relationship-wise, bringing you together with a special partner at this time. This can also be a time of expanding your connections. It can be a time of really getting together with friends, with family. There's a lot of harmony that's coming in because Venus is all about peace, all about love. Venus wants to make us feel good. So there's definitely a feeling of cohesiveness within this period that is all about bringing people together, all about creating harmony and connection. On the negative side, if you do have Venus and Jupiter placed in poor positions within your chart, there can be issues within relationships. So depending upon how these are placed in your chart, this can bring you positive results where it is all about bringing people together in a positive way. However, if it is negative, it can create conflicts and disturbances within your relationships. So if these are badly placed in your chart, you want to be careful about how you are connecting, relating to people, the communication, making sure that you're sorting out all of the issues, laying everything out on the table, because there can be some conflicts. Another negative side of this is that Venus is very extravagant. Venus loves the beauty, loves the pleasure, loves the enjoyment of the material world. And Jupiter, again, is going to expand this. So this could be a time of expenses, of losses. You want to be careful about how you are managing your finances at this time. Following this is a 9-month period of Jupiter-Sun, and this is excellent because the Sun and Jupiter are friends with one another. So Jupiter-Sun can really open up doorways for you. In particular, the Sun has to do with your status, your reputation, how you show up in the world. The Sun gives you purpose, principles, and Sun is related to authority, related to career, related to your self-esteem and confidence. So this definitely can increase your confidence and self-esteem where you're starting to make some big decisions that can move you up in your status and reputation. You can get opportunities in your career. You can get promotions. You can see some massive fame and success playing out in this Jupiter-Sun period. But on the negative side, if Sun and Jupiter are placed badly within the chart, this is where there can be over-optimism, overconfidence, over-expansion. And so there can be ego issues if these are placed negatively within the chart. This is something that you want to be careful of because this can create a lot of competition, arguments, enemies, all sorts of disputes and issues. This also can spill over into your relationships as well. So this can disturb your marriage, this can disturb your business partnerships, getting into this ego. Now following this is a 1-year period of Jupiter-Moon. And this is a tricky one because Jupiter is going to expand in this area, and the moon is very impressionable. It is constantly changing. The moon waxes and wanes. So you do want to see how powerful the moon is in your chart. Is it in a waxing phase or a waning phase? And how is the moon placed? Is it being influenced by malefic planets within your chart? All of this comes into the picture in terms of how this period will play out for you. Jupiter moon is definitely a time about getting more in touch with the family, with the home, where you can find a sense of peace, of happiness, of this sense of inner peace, where this is all about being comfortable. It's all about being in a state of balance and harmony. This is excellent for this. And because the moon relates back to the home, it is directional strength in the fourth. This can definitely be a time of reinnovation, of making changes, of changing your residence. All of this can come into the picture where you are thinking about your home and where you want to go with this. Jupiter gives you this forward-looking vision in terms of home and family. On the negative side, again, if this is placed badly within the chart, there can be all sorts of disturbances in terms of family, property, all of these situations coming up. And this can also disturb your mind because the moon represents the mind. So there can be mental disorders that you're struggling with at this time. Insomnia, restlessness, anxiety, depression, all of these things that you want to manage properly. Following this is an 11th month period of Jupiter-Mars. And this is definitely going to expand your confidence like Jupiter-Sun. Mars is also friends with Jupiter, so this is a time of confidence, of charisma, of daring, of going for what you want, taking that initiative in your career, in everything that you are trying to achieve. This Mars is going to give you a ton of determination and confidence to go for what you want. And this is definitely a time of dealing with anything that you have put on hold, that you have been avoiding, all of these areas of procrastination. Mars is going to give you the energy, the strength, the determination to push forward and to manage these responsibilities. Of course, if Mars and Jupiter are placed negatively, this can, again, give you excessive confidence, over optimism, looking at things in a way that is not realistic, where you are over expanding. And because Mars is all about your energy levels, you can burn yourself out at this time, pushing yourself too far beyond the limit. So you want to pay attention to your energy levels and how much energy and focus you're putting into achieving your goals. This is definitely a time of paying attention to your health because Mars does rule the blood and there can be issues with blood pressure, with inflammation, with all of these sort of situations where there's heat, where there's inflammation in the body, where there's tension. So you do want to avoid stress. You want to avoid pushing yourself beyond the limit. Knowing where your limit is very important at this time. You can push yourself to overexhaustion. This also can be a time of reckless decisions because Mars is a very impulsive planet. Mars just wants to charge in and get the job done. Remember that Mars is a soldier, and so this energy of pushing forward, of charging ahead, is all about Mars. And with Jupiter expanding this, you can get yourself into difficult situations where you're taking unnecessary risk, where you're making wrong decisions. So you want to be careful depending upon how these are placed within your chart. Lastly, Jupiter will come into its dasha chidra, which is Jupiter-Rahu. This will be the transition point where you're going to move ahead into the Saturn Mahadasha after this. And this is a 2-year period where you want to be careful about your decision making because remember that Rahu is illusion. So this Rahu factor that you went through in the Rahu Mahadasha is coming back. This is a testing ground to see what you will do at this time. And of course, the Dasha Chidra also is all about transformation. This is where there are dramatic changes occurring in this changeover period. So with Jupiter-Rahu, this is a time where you can become obsessive about achieving your desires, where you can, again, overexpand in this area, become excessive greedy, where this becomes all about gaining those desires. And you want to be careful in this because not every desire that you are chasing is something that is what you believe it to be. Again, Rahu is all about illusion, deception. So you want to read over the fine print. You want to make sure that you are making decisions wisely at this time. There is a lot of seeing things as not what they really are. And this is going to pan over when you move into your Saturn Mahadasha, because Saturn is all about karmic justice. So all of the karmic factors will return to you in your Saturn Mahadasha, which means that Saturn Mahadasha is going to demand discipline, work, effort, commitment when you move into it. So anything that you are moving towards in this Jupiter Rahu, all of these opportunities and desires that you are moving towards, Saturn is going to look for you to commit to all of this when you move into your Saturn Mahadasha. Sometimes there can be ego issues as well because Rahu is over expansive and Jupiter is also an expansive influence as well. So you can have overconfidence, over optimism. All of this is coming in where there can be ego battles and issues with other people. This can bring you into a lot of conflicts and difficulties. So you want to be careful in this area. However, Jupiter is a benefic planet, so it can bring you some good opportunities and fulfill some of the desires that you want to achieve.